Hey guys, welcome back to It's Pretty Simple, a podcast where we cut through the noise and we make fitness, nutrition make sense that you can actually use in your journey right now without any fads, no quick fixes, just the stuff that actually works in real life. If you're not already following or subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's super helpful for me to stay motivated and keep making videos for you. I love sharing my knowledge with you guys, but having that little extra motivation is always a good thing. So today we're talking about something almost everyone struggles with at some point. We're going to talk about stress eating. I have done an episode before with a guest on this, but I'm going to dive a little bit deeper, bringing in a little bit of the science, but I will explain it to you in a way that you will actually understand. So, these moments where you're not even hungry, but you're reaching into the snack cabinet for snacks, and then you eat the snack and then you feel guilty after. If you ask yourself, why do I keep doing this when I know better, which I know a lot of you do, but you still end up doing it, this episode is for you. We're going to break it down with the science and explain exactly what's happening with your body, because it's more of a biological thing, and I don't want you to feel guilty when things like this happen. I'd rather you understand why it's happening, and then you can take the steps to actually do something about it. I'm going to give you the practical steps that you can use to actually break the cycle, and by the end of this, you will not only understand why you stress eat, but also what you can do about this without actually going on any other restrictive diet all over again for that yo-yo cycle to happen. First, let's clear something up. Stress eating isn't a willpower problem. It's a biological response. And it starts with a hormone you've definitely heard of. It's cortisol. We hear about cortisol all the time. So this is where your stress eating starts from. When you're in a sudden high stress situation, like you're narrowly avoiding a car accident, when your heart starts to beat, or you have to give a big presentation in front of your class. In these situations, your body pumps out adrenaline and cortisol. Your appetite usually drops biologically because your body is focused now on survival and not on looking for food. So this kind of goes back to, you know, animal days, or rather when we were cavemen. Those instincts are still in us, even though we live in this modern world. We still have the flight or flight response, and we still have the survival response. So back in the day, it was all about surviving and then about going out and hunting. Like, it was hunting, get food, and then surviving from um, animals that would attack you, from the weather, whatever it is. So that part is still in us now in this modern generation, and it comes out in a different way. So we don't live in that kind of stress anymore. What we do live in is not good. A lot of us live with chronic stress. So you have your endless emails, family pressure, constant notifications on your phone, bad sleep. Most people are on their screens before bed, so your sleep is really shit. This type of stress also keeps your cortisol levels elevated, the same way as if you were going to be attacked by a tiger. And so in today's world, what ends up happening when your cortisol is elevated, it increases your appetite, especially for high sugar and high fat foods. Now, again, this is a genetic thing. So some people are more prone to higher sugar foods, while other people are more prone to high fats food. And this is all depending on your genetics and your DNA. That's a topic for another day, but that's your body searching for quick energy and comfort. And it doesn't just stop there. Cortisol also slows down your gastric emptying, which means your food sits in your stomach a lot longer, and it suppresses leptin, which is the hormone that tells you that you are full, while it's increasing ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. So it makes you more hungry. So you can eat a lot and still not feel satisfied. And this is why stress eating often feels bottomless. You don't realize that you are full. You eat, eat, eat. It's not that you're lacking control. It's your hormones that are all working against you while you are in chronic stress. Here's another big piece. Your gut and brain are constantly talking through the vagus nerve. Your gut and your brain. So your gut also has its own brain, but then your brain is your brain, right? So they're constantly talking to each other through the vagus nerve. And more and more recently, studies are found how important the gut brain is. But when you are in this fight or flight mode, that communication between your gut and your brain shuts down. So not only are you craving more food, your body also isn't registering that you are eating properly. So your gut will send a signal to your brain indicating that it's full, or your gut sends an indication to your brain indicating that you need food. And because it shuts off, your body's not registering that you're full. So you need to understand that you cannot digest in a stressed state. That's where the term rest and digest comes from. You need to be in a parasympathetic mode, which means your calm mode, for your digestive system and fullness signals to actually work properly. So you've just cut off the communication between the gut and brain when you are in constant chronic stress. And then this turns into this loop. You're stressed, you eat quickly, and you eat emotionally. Your body doesn't register that you're full. You overeat, then you feel guilty, and then what happens? More stress. So you're piling on that cortisol over and over, going to this loop. Sound familiar? So I've seen this play out over and over again with clients. I'm going to give you an example of one of my clients. I worked with a client, let's call her Sarah for the sake of this episode. So she'd come home after a stressful day at work. She'd have to feed the kids. She'd have to get them ready for bed. After she does all of that, she's hungry at this point. She's feeling stressed. She's already had a stressful day. She would head straight to the kitchen, grab whatever she could, left over from her kids' stuff, cookies, chips, ice cream. She ate fast, standing up, not really paying attention to what she was doing, and usually scrolling on her phone at the same time. So by the time she stopped, she felt bloated and she felt guilty. So what was her solution? She thought, hey, I'm just going to skip breakfast the next day, or I'll eat a tiny lunch to make up for it. So she's thinking that, okay, if I overdid it the night before, I'm just going to cut down my food the next day. But by evening, she was ravenous. She wanted to eat. Her cortisol was still high, obviously, because now she skipped meals and then ended up in the same cycle again. Sarah didn't need more willpower. She needed to understand her stress response and work with her body instead of against it. So first comes the awareness to realize that when you're stressed, this is what I do, and then work with it. If you are going to cut your calories out the next day, it's not going to make a difference. You think that, oh, I'm just going to eat less today. That's not going to happen, because the less you eat, you're going back into this high cortisol mode. And then by evening, like in Sarah's case, she'd go home and do the same thing again. And this is now not because of a stressful day at work or anything. It's because her body's cortisol level is up from skipping meals. So this is where so many people tend to go wrong. They try to fix stress eating by dieting, by cutting down, by restricting. But the problem is that restricting actually makes things worse, because the stress hormone is still going to increase. So you need to understand that when we're looking at stress, when we say, I'm so stressed, we're looking at our life and things happening around us, and that's where we're stressed. But our body also has stresses of its own that also contributes to the cortisol production. You might not know that this is causing your body stress, but it is causing your body stress, because it's not the day-to-day thing. But a lot of people end up making it a day-to-day thing by starving themselves. And so this constant high stress mode is really what's causing most people to have this binge cycle happening. So skipping meals or cutting out food groups is going to spike your cortisol even higher. That then leads to blood sugar crashes, and then your cravings get stronger. So you end up binging, you end up feeling guilty, and then you start that cycle all over again. You can't out-discipline biology. You need to work with it. I mean, think about it. How many times have you said, oh, I ate so much last night, so today I'm just going to not eat anything and just go straight to dinner? It's just this automatic thing saying, I took in X amount of energy, so I'm going to just cut off my food and then it's just going to balance out. While there is logic to that, if you're looking at the numbers overall, but at the end of the day, if you do that, you're actually going to mess it up more. So you're better off actually going over on your calories for a day or for that week just by a little bit than starving yourself, getting your cortisol up, ending up into this binge cycle again. So then by the end of the week, instead of you just being, 200 calories up for your week, you end up being like 1,000 calories up for the week or even more. And that does happen. So if restriction doesn't work, what does, right? That's what you're probably thinking. I've always been doing that. Every time I overeat, I just starve myself the next day. Or a lot of people also do this other thing where they might starve themselves, or they might like go to the gym or go and do 2 classes or go and like run a shit ton and basically like triple their movement to burn everything that they ate the night before, as well as starve themselves. Now, again, if you're doing all that, your body is going to go into high stress mode. Cortisol is going to increase. So overdoing your movement as well is going to cause your cortisol levels to go up. So this logic of I'm not going to eat, or I'm going to move so much, I'm going to kill myself at the gym, both of it, it's just going to backfire and take you back into this loop. Yeah. So if restriction doesn't work, what's going to work? Before I get into these might sound really like simple, and you might just be like, okay, but the thing is, people don't actually follow these things. It sounds really simple. You probably heard it a million times, but ask yourself, have you actually followed them? Or is it so simple that you've not even bothered to follow them? Have an open mind. It is easy stuff. It is very simple stuff. You've probably heard them before, but honestly, it really does work. Everything I talk about here is based on science. Everything I talk about here is based on my own experience with my own body and the hundreds of women that I've trained. So, number one, you need to eat smaller, balanced meals. Yes, you've heard this before. So when you combine your protein, fiber, and your healthy fats, you're going to end up slowing digestion. This will stabilize your blood sugar and it's going to prevent these huge cortisol spikes. So stable blood sugar equals to fewer craving. It really is that simple. Number two, you want to slow down your eating. So taking an extra 5 to 10 minutes to eat, chewing properly, actually chewing your food, putting the fork or spoon down in between your bites, taking a breath, actually ends up activating your parasympathetic nervous system. And what does this do? It signals your body that it's safe, you're calm, you can digest, you can feel full. So your body, instead of focusing on other things, it's digesting. Tell me, when was the last time you actually sat and ate one meal not using a device or not in front of the TV? Most people don't do that anymore. And I'm also guilty, but there's one rule that I have. My first meal of my day, my breakfast, is on the dining table, no phone, no screen. Because my first meal is going to pan out the rest of my day. If I've eaten that meal rushed, and when I say rushed, like when you're on the screen, you're watching TV, again, you're focusing on something else. Your brain and your gut, they're not really working together. And so you don't realize that you've eaten. You don't realize that you're full. You don't chew as well. So that first meal can dictate a lot for the rest of your day, which is why breakfast on the go is not always the best idea. If you have the chance to sit down and eat, sit down and eat. Because if you've eaten in front of a screen and you're scrolling and you're focusing on other things, and then you end up eating your breakfast, you're not going to feel like you've actually eaten. The hormones aren't going to react the same way because you need some sort of awareness and mindfulness. And also for your digestive system to start working, like I just said, you need your parasympathetic nervous system to be activated. Now, when we're scrolling on our phone, our parasympathetic nervous system is not activated. I'm sure you've heard how much the dopamine hits, and that's not good in the long term, right? And we're taking this in all the time. So you want your body to feel safe to digest. So I would say try at least your first meal without any screen time. Okay, so you can start to feel more full. Number three, it comes hand in hand with what I just said. You need to learn to breathe when you eat. Take out your distractions, so no screens. As I said, your brain doesn't process the meal properly, so you need to sit down, take 2 deep breaths before eating, and actually taste your food. And part of number three is the tasting of the food. I have seen people eat really, really fast. I mean, I always got told that I'm a slow eater. I'm not. I think that I eat at a pretty normal pace because I like to feel that I'm eating. I like to taste everything. I like to chew my food. I think I also have a bit of a phobia because my older sister, when we were kids, we'd be at the lunch table and I was a slow eater. So I would really like chew my food and everything. And she would just, she would just eat. And she would always take 2 fillings. And when I say 2 fillings, I mean like big fillings on her plate. And I would just take one. And people always say, you barely eat, you barely eat. But I used to eat really slow. So I guess, I felt like I was full. So she would just be talking, and she'd just eat, eat, eat. And every single time after lunch, my sister would go lay down to take a nap and then get up after 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, and actually throw up. Why is that? Her brain did not register that she was already full because how quickly she was eating. She's talking while she's eating, so she's not breathing. She's taken 2 servings because the first serving probably would have left her full, but it did not because she was so distracted. And then the second filling was just way too much. And no, she doesn't have an eating disorder in the sense of bulimia or something like throwing up. This was genuinely her not realizing that she was full. And I still remember she went to my mom crying once and was like, I don't know why I eat so much. Oh, it's because you're talking. You're not chewing. You are not breathing when you're eating. So it really does make a difference. I mean, this example might seem a bit a stretch, but it is true. It happened. And I'll be honest, she's in her 30s now. Sometimes it still happens, but it's super, super rare because now she obviously is able to register what she's doing, you know? But yeah, so breathe when you're eating. Number 4, don't skip meals. Coming back to what I said earlier, you know, if you're under eating, if you're skipping meals, you're making your stress worse. If you're not eating enough during the day, your blood sugar is going to end up crashing by night, your cortisol spikes, and body screams for quick energy, which then leads to binges. So make sure you're eating consistently, even if you've overdone it the day before a little bit, just go back to normal the next day. There's no need to punish yourself. And why are we punishing ourselves either? Isn't it interesting how, like, our parents punished us as we were kids, and now we punish ourselves as adults for things? Don't punish yourself. Just eat consistently. Have the same amount of meals. Just be more mindful. And number 5, the most important, ditch that guilt. Guilt does nothing but add more stress. Like, we are literally living in this time where we just cause ourselves so much unnecessary stress. Stress about what we're eating, stress about have we got our steps in, stress about all these things. You have other stresses in your life. You know, you guys have kids, you've got families, you have other things happening in your life that causes stress, maybe financial stress, maybe you're studying, you've got exams, whatever it is. Why are we adding this extra stress into our lives? Extra stress of feeling guilty, extra stress of feeling ashamed, extra stress for what? Your body is not going to identify that this is different, I'm causing it myself, and this is different. It's all the same. Cortisol reacts exactly the same, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, whatever it is. Stress eating does not make you weak. It means your body is trying to cope. So instead of spiraling, just reset at your next meal and try to not add any extra stress to yourself. And the thing is, with this modern society, you know, we're no longer in this fight or flight mode. And so we just have all these little added stresses everywhere. You know, people don't realize it, but every ping on your phone is a distraction, which adds stress. So turn your notifications off. De-stress things that you have control over. And we have control over a lot of things, but for some reason, we don't associate these things as stressful. Your hormone, your body, your brain does not actually react the way you think that it reacts, right? So every ping, 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 ping is stress on your body. Every time you look at a bright screen, it's stress. Every time you are replying to emails, it's stress. I get it. Of course, you have to reply to emails. But my point is just try to decrease all the little stressors in our life, because all the little stressors ends up building your cortisol up, 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 up. And we don't want that. So where you can control it, control it. So coming to the stress eating part and the things that I mentioned, the most simple framework that you can use is have 3 to 4 balanced meal per day. Make sure you have your protein, your fiber, and your healthy fats. And then, of course, you need to have your carbs for your energy. But protein, fiber, healthy fats first, and then the carbs. You want to sit down for your meals. No screens. Avoid it, at least for one meal. Take 10 to 15 minutes longer than usual to eat. Okay, enjoy your food. Taste it. Let your tongue taste it. You have enzymes in your saliva that help break down food, and that's where you can taste it in your taste buds. So make sure that you spend some time tasting it, feeling the texture. Okay, become more aware when you're eating of what you're eating. So yeah, take a bit of extra time to eat and really enjoy the flavors of the food. And take 2 deep breaths before each meal. So bringing that awareness, you know, that you're going to do something. So nice deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth before you eat a meal. And so you're just preparing yourself. And you start making it a ritual, you're actually activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which in turn is going to help you eat stress-free. Now, if you do end up stress eating, pause. Instead of feeling guilt, ask yourself, what do I really need right now? Do I need food? Do I need rest? Do I just need a break? Because a lot of the times when we just feel that need for something, when it's all coming from emotions or stress, we just go straight for it. But a lot of times it's something else you need. And normally it's rest, just a break, 5 minutes to just chill. Question yourself. Wait for 5 minutes And after 5 minutes, if you still feel that's what you want, then you go for it. Okay, it's just becoming aware. And it's not about feeling guilty. This isn't about perfection. It's about learning to regulate your system so you can break that loop that you're constantly finding yourself in. So remember, stress eating is not about lack of control. Stop making yourself feel guilty. Stop making yourself feel bad. It's your body's way of saying, I need safety. And safety in the modern days is very different from the safety back in the day. And when you give your body the right signals, calm meals, activating your parasympathetic nervous system, having balanced nutrition, consistent eating, the cravings will automatically calm down on their own. But you got to give them a chance. It's not that you're going to do this tomorrow and it's going to work, but it's something you have to keep practicing over and over again. If this is something that's resonated with you, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear what's happening with you, what kind of loop you're in. And I'd love to be able to give you some feedback on your comment and help you out here. This is exactly what I do to help my clients. This is what I've done for myself. And I still do sometimes when I find myself going into these loops of things. And it happens sometimes, we're all human. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. If you felt like it helped you or gave you some insight, let me know in the comments below. Even if you just liked it, share it with somebody you feel needs to hear. If you have any friends or family who are stuck in this loop, and of course, if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me, and it helps this podcast reach more people who need real practical advice, because I want to reach more people to help them understand that it's not as complicated, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to fall off track. We can always get back on it completely guilt free. So hit that follow button if you still have not. I'll see you guys next time.